Rose turned out the light and closed the door behind her as she left the room. Did he really say what I thought he said? She thought to herself. The next morning Rose went in to wake him before he awoke on his own. She wanted to see how wet the pads had gotten during the night. Besides, she didn't want him to take off the diaper himself. If it was as drippy as she expected it would be, it would get everywhere if he wasn't careful. She sat down on the bed beside him and said, softly, Theodore, Theodore, it's time to get up. Come on, wake up. Theodore opened his eyes to see her sitting beside him looking down on him with loving eyes. He hadn't been woken that way since he was younger. He wanted to tell her that he was too big to be mothered like that, but the words wouldn't come out. He moved his legs slightly to make more room for her and felt the soggy diaper squish between his legs. Theodore blushed in embarrassment as he realized that he had done it again. They were right. He should wear diapers to bed. Rose nodded understandingly and took the covers out of his hand, pulling them down below his knees. She felt the pad beneath him and said approvingly, well, the brief seems to have done the trick. Only the pad underneath your bottom is wet. We'll only use one pad tonight. Theodore started to sit up but was restrained by her hand on his chest. Let me get you out of that wet brief before you get out of bed. He lay back passively as she unfastened the tabs on the diaper and pulled the wet padding down between his legs. She had been right, she told herself. He had really soaked the diaper. If he had gotten up on his own, he would have dripped everywhere. She told him, you can sit up now. Put your feet on the floor and stand straight up. Be careful, I don't want you dragging the wet brief off the bed onto the floor. There's a tub of hot water waiting for you in the bathroom. Why don't you take a bath and then I'll get you some breakfast? Tony got out of the bed and trotted into the bathroom without stopping to get dressed. It seemed silly to act modestly around someone who had just taken his pee-soaked brief off. Brief, now there was a face-saving lie if he ever heard one. It was a diaper and he had wet it just like a toddler. At least she didn't insist on using a baby wipe on him and had let him go take a bath with some dignity. He bathed quickly and went back to his room to dress before going down to breakfast. When he arrived, he found her at the stove cooking bacon and eggs for him. The smell of maple-cured bacon filled the kitchen and made his mouth water in anticipation. The margarine and jam are in the refrigerator, Theodore. Help yourself. Your toast will be done in a minute. Why don't you get yourself a glass of milk while you wait? He took the margarine and jam out of the refrigerator and poured himself a glass of milk. Rose brought him his breakfast and set it down on the table in front of him with some silverware and a napkin. She poured herself a cup of coffee and sat down on the other side of the table from him. She smiled at him and said, now that wasn't so bad, was it? She observed as he wolfed down his breakfast. Bad? No, it's great. I love maple-cured bacon, he said around a mouthful of food. Don't talk with your mouth full, dear. I meant the brief. I was asking you about sleeping in the briefs last night, she said in a motherly fashion. Oh, it wasn't so bad when I got used to it, he said airily. Rose smiled at his response. He had fallen asleep before she had finished tucking him in the bed. She doubted he was even aware he was even wearing it while he slept. That's good. I'm glad you didn't have any problems, she said. Theodore, she asked sweetly. I need to go do some shopping and I was wondering if you could watch baby John for me while I go up to the grocery store. It should only take about 45 minutes. Theodore agreed readily and she left for the store.